Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I'm your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to our program in which I take an individual horror film, and me and my special guest sit down, discuss, have a conversation about that particular film. Now, it doesn't matter which subgenre of horror it belongs into, and it does not matter what decade it belongs within, because we kind of delve into all of those areas, because we want to get to those films that sometimes aren't always talked about. And the strange thing is, while doing that for the last few years, we haven't been able to kind of take really good care on the more modern day films, recent films, the films that most of you have probably already seen or are on your list to be seen. That being said, we are changing that this year by delving into a lot more recent films, which is one of the conversations that we're going to have today, which is going to be on the 2024 film of Speak No Evil, which is a remake of a much earlier film. But to discuss this film, and I'm sure we are going to discuss the original as well, I brought on one of my esteemed guests, Mr. Philip Ray, and I want to thank him for joining us on our conversation today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Speak No Evil, even though we're going to be discussing the remake, the recent remake with James McAvoy, we're going to be also, I know, talking about the original film, and I don't remember the date in which it was made, but it was more recent. These films, the original and this remake, were like not that far apart in terms of their release dates. So it's going to be
So the original came out in 2022 and the remake came out in 2024. So about a 2-year difference.
About a 2-year difference, which is very odd. Usually there's years in between, but this one, it was only 2 years. So with this one, kind of tell us all a little bit about when you first saw the film and what was your impression of the film.
So I did not see the original Speak No Evil, but I remember I heard generally good things about it. And so when I heard they were doing an American remake with James McAvoy, and I saw the trailer, I'm like, okay, I'll go see it. And then, especially when I heard the word of mouth was really good for it too, that made me more excited. And I saw it in theaters, and I really like this movie. We'll talk more about it, but I really like this movie. I have not gone back to watch the original. I have seen clips from the original, especially the ending, which we'll talk about at some point during this. But generally, but yeah, no, but I do really like this movie. And other than watching clips of the original, I've not watched the original in its entirety.
So I've actually seen both versions of the film, the original 22 version and this one, probably within about a month and a half apart, as we were trying to schedule this conversation. And the reason why I didn't see this at the theater, because I really wanted to see this in theater because I love James McAvoy, is for the fact that I hadn't seen the original. And so a lot of times when that happens, I like to go back and watch the original first and then watch the remake, which is why I didn't see this at the theater. I wish I had seen this in the theater because I really enjoyed this film just like you did. And I did not, I hate to say, like the original version of this film. I think this is a case where the remake far exceeds and surpasses the original film. To be honest with you, other than the general plot, to be honest with you, this one delves so far away from the original that it's a thank God they did, because this is a really, really great film with some really solid performances by the cast. So.
Yes, for the people who are not aware of what Speak No Evil is about, Speak No Evil is basically about this couple who, while on a trip, meet another couple, and basically they have a good time, and they basically say, "Hey, would you guys like to, come to a place that we own and stuff, and hang out more?" And they say yes, and that's how the story continues. What's really great about the movie, and both of these had them, I think, and it's a theme I really liked and stuff, was the conversation of politeness and how much you're willing to, Be polite to someone, not be rude. That's what's great about, and that's actually, the premise actually came from the director of the original film and stuff. He had a similar situation. It's just the way his story ends is he said he did not say yes. He did not go to the couple, but he thought, well, what if I did say yes? And that's how the script got written and stuff. So that's a kind of funny fun fact there. But yeah, I really like the theme of the movie about, how much are you willing to not be the bad guy? How much do you want to be? Because everyone has been in that situation where they've been in a thing and they're trying not to be rude. You either have someone talking to you who you don't want to talk to, or you're having to hang out with a family friend or hang out with family, hang out with so-and-so, and you don't really want to do it, but you don't want to seem rude. Or, everyone's had that, like they've gone to the bar before and someone's like, you're ready to go, but someone offers you another drink and you're like, well, I don't want to be rude, so I guess I'll take another drink. Like all of that feeling is incorporated into this movie. And that's what I love about it, because it's very relatable.
So, since you didn't see the original version of this film, that I having seen both of them. The original film does play up that more so than this film. I think this film, for me, and it's going to be interesting to talk about this, more plays up class than it does politeness. The original one is almost all politeness and cultures and based in politeness, and that's why it ends the way it does, which is why I hated it. I hated the ending to the other one. I thought that the couples made weird choices that you wouldn't make in this day and age. Whereas in this one, there's a point where the politeness it kind of stops being polite when it gets to abuse. Whereas with the original one, you don't really get that. It really does play more towards the politeness the entire way, which is why characters do the things they do in the first one. And so it's really odd the choices they make. But in this one, it's almost much more grounded because the background with the shit. Let's get these characters' names good. Was it
Ben and Louis?
Ben. Luis and Ben.
Luis, yes.
I only know Mackenzie Davis. I love Mackenzie Davis. I think she's an underrated actress, but we all know James McAvoy because he's just great and pretty much most of what he does. But Luis and Ben, who are our main couple, so to speak, have other underlying things that are wrong with their relationship. I thought it was very brave to make it as though she almost or did have an affair, or in her husband's eye have an affair with someone else because she caught the pictures on the cell phone, and that underlying thing with the fact is still driving him nuts and making him almost be an impotent type of husband because he's allowed his entire life to be I can't think of the word, sideways, because of his lack of a job and being appreciated his job. And then of course his wife going out to see, having these erotic pictures on her phone, and he's not really there as a husband nor as a father, because you see the relationship that he has with his daughter Agnes, and the fact that this security doll, the bunny, is all that. A lot of that is missing from the original one that makes these characters seem more realistic for me, and I like watching their relationship develop in this film, whereas I didn't care about it in the original film. I think they took some of the concepts and kind of elaborated on those and made them much better in this film and made the journey much more interesting. So by the time we get to the third act, it's like, holy shit, these characters have grown in such a short amount of time, and I really like that.
I think there is some stillness of that politeness from the original. It's just, this is more, like you said, realistic. There is some form of politeness, and I think a lot of that comes into more with Ben's character. Ben still holds on to that because a lot of the times Ben's the one who's like, no, let's not be rude. Let's do this. No, let's, he's he has a lot more, and actually the director said, like, because there was a lot of complaints people had about, especially when you get to the third act with Ben's character, of like, he's consistently kind of impotent the
Yeah,
entire movie.
yeah, he's supposed to be.
And there were people that were mad about that, especially in the third act, where it's like he doesn't do anything really. And it's like, and the director's like, no, that's the point. He's kind of like a beta guy, while again, James McAvoy is such an alpha. And that is why, again, for both of them, like, again, the scenes between them two, you see how Ben keeps getting coaxed into these situations and stuff, because he, you know, Patty, the way he presents himself is what Ben wants to be and stuff. And so that's why he gets so involved with it. And that's what's great is with Louisa and stuff. She's trying to go along with this because, again, she feels bad. She feels guilt. She had this affair. And so she's like, then that's the politeness in there. She's like, okay, I want to get out of here, but I'm trying to fix our marriage. I'm trying to do better to my husband and stuff. Even though I don't want to do this, I'm trying to be polite to him and just sticking with this, even though they are really pushing my limits until, again, and then this is the big diversion, is there's that politeness until finally it's like, okay, no, you have passed my limit. I have to, like, we can't do this anymore. That's when you get into the third act of it, which I agree. Me knowing what happens in the third act and the original, I agree too. The change, the ending is way better. Once I knew how the original ended, that is why I have not gone to see it, because I knew that this was way more superior, and I would be unsatisfied watching the original.
You will be, but I think it's always a good exercise to watch them both. I want to actually put something to you, because it dawned on me after I watched the film that I don't believe that Ben and Louise are the main characters of this movie at all. I believe, and one of the reasons is this, I believe the aunt is the main character of this film. Ant is the very first person you see. You see him in the rear view mirror in the opening sequence. He's also the last person you see. Yes, and he's the character that goes through the most changes, because he's someone who's been, what was that? There's a term, Stockholm syndrome. He's more or less is suffering from Stockholm syndrome because he's watched these people that he's now living with kill his own parents. And he doesn't know a way to escape. And he doesn't. He just goes with whatever the alpha, Patty, does and says the entire film, until he sees a kindred spirit in the damaged Agnes character. The Agnes character who relies on the safety of her bunny character. And he sees a kindred spirit in her. And he uses her to try and convince her and her family that they are in danger, which, if from all our intents purposes, because we don't know how long he's been with Patty, is the first person he's ever spoken out about. And I like that fact, because that scene in the middle that we're talking about, the alpha and the beta, the Patty and the Ben, when they're howling at the fucking mountain, the countryside, allowing Ben to release the animal inside him, is also referenced at the very end when Ant does the exact same thing after killing the so-called surrogate father, Patty.
Yes, because Patty goes, "That a boy."
Yeah, exactly. So, because I was like, I was really following it, like I was thinking about the original film, the whole thing. It was blah 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 blah. But when I saw the ending like that, I was like, holy shit, this movie really isn't about Ben and Louise. I see Ben as like the comparison character to the young Ant. Like, Ant, if he hadn't gone through this experience, could have been the old grown-up Ben character. But the experiences that Ant goes through, being forced to learn how to swim by just being thrown in the lake twice, never mind you, or the whole so-called dance sequence that he's been working with Agnes. Like, he's been literally working with her until Patty forces him to be a better dancer. Those scenes right there are not only hard to watch, because this is blatant child abuse in this movie. But there's a point where Ant finally has had enough, and he goes to Agnes to actually reveal everything to her. And that for me makes this movie 10 times better than I would have thought about it. Because I'm looking at this movie as being like your typical type of thing. But to be honest with you, a lot of it is told from the perspective of the kids as the characters that are ignored. They're the side characters. You know, Agnes's father, Ben, ignores her. He doesn't take the whole bunny thing seriously. Only her mother does. Every time she loses that bunny or something like that, he just kind of dismisses it. And he doesn't understand why it's so important to her. In the original movie, they do a very different type of sequence with the bunny thing in the movie. I like the way they did it in this movie because I didn't really care for the Agnes character in the original movie. It just seemed like a bratty fucking kid, to be honest with you. But the ideal that, you know, at one point, you know, Patty manipulates them by putting the bunny up into the garters of the roof and more or less tearing it apart like a wild animal. Stuff like that makes this film so much better. Because when you think about the overall film, I was like, "Holy shit!" So I don't know. I don't know what you think about that, or if I just put a new brain pan ideal in your brain. But that's how I saw it by the time I got to the end of this movie.
I see all of that. Like, honestly, and that's one thing I like. It was so clever having Ant be the first image and the last image you see, because especially at the beginning when you see Ant and stuff, you have no context at the time about what's all going on with that. And it's a great subversion because you don't know at all what's going to happen and stuff. And then you see what happens and stuff. And what I like is, again, even you know, I know there's some people that were like, oh, you know, they didn't do the original ending, you know, they had to, you know, dull it down. And I'm like, no, even if so for our viewers and stuff, this is a small spoiler, so you don't want to hear it skip 2 or 3 minutes. But in the original, the family just dies.
Yeah.
The bad guys win. Like, essentially, they just kind of just let themselves get killed, essentially. Yeah. And then, you know, Agnes becomes the new Ant, and they just kind of move on and stuff. Versus this, where they actually fight back and stuff. And, you know, and but the thing is, and you're right, out of all the characters, Ant is the one who really goes through all of it. And at the end, he's the one who's more traumatized, which is why Agnes gives him the bunny, because he's the one who is the most changed out of everything of it. So I can see that. I can see the idea of Ant being the original, being really the main character, because it's true. He goes through the most throughout the story and stuff.
I think the movie is a very traumatic film because it deals with these children and the abuse literally abuse of all the children, to be honest with you.
I mean, he's got his tongue cut out. And again, the implication too about he's not the first kid to lose his tongue. Like
these two, the Patty and Clara, are literally abusing children so that Clara can have children of her own. And that's not just it. That's also, they do this for monetary reasons. But that is second to when we see Clara really just wanting a family. And you do, honestly, when you're watching the Patty and Clara together, see them as like a really great couple, just really screwed up in the head. You know, and that's the big contrast between the Ben and Louise characters. These are estranged couple, like,
yes,
and Patty and Clara are like these. They're what do you call it? They're very truthful. They're very truthful with all their feelings, with their actions, with everything, other than the fact that they're hiding the fact that they're, you know, going to kill people for children. But they're really open about all that, and
you can see why that appeals at least Ben so much, and why he wants to be around them, because you know, it's in a way of like, it's like, this is what, when he sees Patty and Clara and stuff, he's like, this is what I want us to be. I want I want that. And that's why he sticks around to that idea so much. So I want to put a nugget in your brain and stuff and see if this is something that you thought about or not. But near the end there, Clara makes a comment that I'm a victim too, and stuff. Do you think that there's the writer and directors come out and said that like he left it open-ended purposely for the viewers to decide, is that another lie manipulation that she's trying to do, or is she also a previous victim, kind of like what happened with the kids and stuff? Is she just another tool that Patty has used in the past?
I 100% think that she was also. I don't think Patty could have a very realistic and what do you call it? Not realistic, but honest relationship with a person, whether man or female. I think his alpha mentality is overpowering and overwhelming, and she has a form of Stockholm syndrome, just like the kids that they abduct. Which is why Ant doesn't leave. All the stuff that they have put him through. He watched his parents get killed. He knows his parents are killed, and they cut out his tongue, and yet he still is there. I think she is just the same way, and the only reason why she stays is because Patty is willing to give her kids. He makes it at one point. He does make it that they keep doing that because it's an excuse. The guy who comes to help the help Patty at the very end makes a comment about Patty and Clara playing with their food, and he doesn't know why they do that. Well, we don't know why, because Patty and Clara wants a family. It would be so much easier just to rob them and steal them of their money like the first night they were there, but that's not what they have an ulterior motive. She wants a family, and to keep her in check, he does that for her. Like he's manipulated these people into getting what he wants from them by giving them just enough to keep.
And that's the thing, is every time, and again, James McAvoy he's always great in anything he does, and he does phenomenal in this, because every time he does a good, again, that's why I think there's still a theme about politeness in this, because Patty just knows the exact thing to do to emotionally manipulate at least Ben's character to convince them to go a certain way. And every time, and again, like, he's such a personality that, again, like, I could see Clara being a victim that, again, Patty just knows the right things to kind of twist her arm on to make her want to stay and stuff. And again, it's like, either between just the emotional manipulation and then again the physical, because again, James McAvoy, I mean, he is built in this role, like he buffed up, so physically he is an opposing figure and stuff. So it is not, this is bulk James McAvoy. So he is not someone that you're just going to ignore and stuff, because as what happens in the movie, he will physically beat you to death because he has that strength.
Well, keep in mind that he also beats Clara too. When I think it was when Louise sees Clara when they're about to jump off the rock, she sees the bruises she has.
Yeah.
And she just says, I forget what they got. They had rough sex, which is also very funny, because that's also the very first time Ben sees Patty, when Patty is coming to take the chair around the pool. He's so envious of them because he sees Patty just dive straight off the edge of the pool. He's drinking beer in the middle of the day. He's doing everything that he would wish he could do, which is why he asked his wife, "Would you like a drink?" And she says, "It's too early, but you can have one." And then of course he just gives in and says, "Oh no, okay, I won't have one." But every time it's just the visual manipulation, and of course Patty is really good at manipulating even Louise. He knows she's a vegetarian, but yet the moment they're in the house, he's trying to feed her meat. And then of course the child stuff, when Clara starts to tell Agnes what to do, and he politely he wants her to apologize to his wife after they've all get their pleasantries out. But later, when Patty is abusing Aunt, and I say she, but when Louise calls him out on it, he comes back and retorts, "Well, you're gonna show me how to, rear my child when you were doing the same thing with my child." But and then of course, Louise says it's a type of abuse. You're abusing. That's going too far. But whose idea was abuse? That's the thing I love about this movie is that not only does Patty play on all the characters, but it's not just a visual manipulation, it's also a verbal manipulation as well, which is not what you would expect from Patty's character since he's so physically opposing to everyone.
Yes, he is such a good manipulator. Works with that again, every time, like where it's like okay, this is it. This is they need to get out. It's again. He knows he knows the right words to say to play on like the
guilt,
the guilt of, okay, I guess we're going to leave. It's like, oh, well, I mean, we were going to do this stuff and I spent this money and stuff, but okay, I guess you can leave and stuff. Okay, fine. Again, it is just a really tight and smart script that again, it's just like, again, it plays so much of like, yes, in a realistic setting, again, like with the original director, would people even get themselves in the situation? No. But people have done that, again, like people have gone on vacations and they connect with someone and they start talking to them and this, that, and the other and stuff. And, that happens everyone has met the friendly stranger that they just connect to and stuff. But it's like, what if that friendly stranger has sinister motives? And it's like, which also has happened in real life too. Yes. It's just a very, again, it's just, again, very smart script. Like I really liked, I really liked the cast. I really liked everyone in this.
I want to, and we've talked about, of course, James McAvoy, but it's not just him. He's got the most showy role, and of course, in the original film, the aunt. I forget who plays the aunt in the original film, but it's more or less a thankless role, just kind of like the Agnes one. But in this film, I think they do a really good job with both of these roles and expanding upon them and making them more fleshed out. Because, like I said, when I watched the original one, the two kids were kind of annoying, a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. But in this film, I actually found them to be much more interesting and engaging. And a lot of that is not just with the writing, but with the actors they got to play them. I don't think there's really a weak performance in this film, to be honest. I'm just thinking about it now. I'm like, I don't think so. I think even and I'm not familiar with Ansling Francoise. Is that her name?
Yes.
Sarah. Like, I'm not familiar. She's the only one I'm not really familiar with. I've seen Scoot McNairy in other films, but I'm not familiar with her. But
I thought she was great. And going to the kids and stuff, again, I think the actor who plays Aunt did really well. And even Agnes' character and stuff, like with everything in the bunny and being like, there's a way of like, you see her being kind of like you commented the original being bratty and stuff. And this, it's like there, especially when you see everything that's going on with the dynamic between Louise and Ben, you see why she's like she is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing I want to add about that is that this film could have gone to making these characters caricatures. It really could have been. But I think a lot of the added relationships between these characters, like even though we don't believe that Clara has had miscarriages. We get the ideal that something happened to the other girl she abducted, and she's still trying to find the perfect girl, and she thinks she's found it as Agnes. And that's still kind of tragic because you kind of wonder what the fuck happened to the other two girls. That she's still trying to find the perfect girl to kind of take that place of that one. And so it's still tragic, and those little story elements are what helps this film overall. Now I say it out loud, I don't recall, and you can help me on this if I'm wrong. I don't recall there ever mentioning anything specific to Patty's character like that at all. I don't recall though.
No, not really. It's you know, it's yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
it's very interesting with that. Um,
Yeah. See, I can't remember the motivation for his character in the original film. To be honest with you, I watched the original film and it left no impression on me whatsoever. Uh,
again, to a lot of the point is he's very I mean, the Patty character. I mean, obviously, the character is very psychopathic and stuff. And I think what's I mean, again, it's a famous line in both of them is. I think the one big thing with the Patty character too is he loves pushing the envelope
mhm.
and seeing how far he can get away with it and stuff. Like again, the stuff with trying to feed Louise meat and stuff, even though he knows it's a vegetarian, like him making the when he has to slip up about, oh, well, gladly there's a doctor here. Oh, I'm not a doctor and stuff. Like I do think a lot of that is intentional. Of again, by the end of the movie, when he's like, why are you doing this to us? And he's like, because you let me. Is Patty really like his whole character? I think is not only obviously killing people and taking their money and stuff, is testing people's limits to see how much they are, willing to deal with his shenanigans and stuff. Uh, and it's very fascinating with that.
Yeah, well, that would be and this does not make this film bad at all, but that whole aspect of what he says when he says why are you doing this because you let me brought back memories of the whole concept of the strangers. I don't have you seen the strangers?
No, but I do know that's exactly like the same like stuff
Oh
they
yeah,
say is that.
they answer why are you doing this is because you opened the door or you answered the door. I can't remember if it's you opened the door, or you answered the door is the whole reason why all that's happening to them. But I think it's a much better realized and executed in this film as opposed to that film. I never thought that this was a one note film. I think Strangers was kind of a one note film. Despite the fact that I really enjoyed The Strangers Chapter Two, the recent the film. I've never really been a fan of that franchise because I just it's kind of a one note film franchise to me. I don't feel that way with this. I feel when I watch this film, I feel that these could be real characters, and I like the fact that this couple, the Ben and Louise, are kind of a transplant to London. They're not originally from London, and they're there strictly because Ben may have a job there, but really doesn't. And it's rainy and it's dreary, and so we go from their vacation spot where they first meet Patty and Clara to that London setting where it's dreary and rainy and damp, and then you can see why they want to go back to see Patty and Clara again, where that was fun and breezy. It was more like a vacation, and you can see the difference in the characters when they're transplanted to another location, and I like that because this film uses these locations extremely well. When
Yeah, and the thing is, even if it is in London and stuff, they do make you feel like this when they meet Patty and Clara at their home and stuff, and it's very rural and stuff. Like it kind of gives you again some impressions of even though it's in London and not in Dutch like the original and stuff, it still gives you that feeling that you're there and stuff in this rural area, and that's very smart. And I think again, and I think changing making them more Americanized and stuff. to me did not feel too like Americanized, if that makes sense. Like even though it is Americanized of like they're making the characters Americans and stuff, it did not feel like a lot of times with these these American remakes and stuff, it feels a lot of times when they change the setting to be more American, it doesn't feel like the script connects. It feels like they lose a bit of it. But
Yeah.
this is one of those that I don't feel like that. I don't feel like it making it more Americanized for some things did not feel disconnected to me.
It doesn't for me either. The only other time that has ever happened on these remakes is with the Grudge remake, where they literally went right back to Japan, just had some American actors in there, and still kept the exact same Japanese character actors for the ghosts and shit. That's the only other film I can think of that made me feel like they weren't just cashing in on the Americans. Like I really disliked what they did with the original Inside versus the American remake, the original Martyrs versus the American remake. I mean, transplanting it to America seems to water it down and sterilize it. But in this film, it actually heightened it a whole hell of a lot compared to the original.
Yeah.
I think that and you're right. The freaking Patty and Clara's like villa or whatever you want to call it it looks like a real lived-in location with some great set pieces and some great production design added in there. When they're out in the woods, the forest, when Ben and Patty are out there and Ben can't shoot the fox. That theme of the reoccurring fox, I just love that imagery. That looks like a real location, just like when they're screaming at the top of their lungs at the top of the mountains with that huge, amazing vista in front of them. I just think they just really are a fantastic job with the set pieces and the look and production design of this entire film. And it makes you feel like you are at this location with these characters, which I think is an asset because there's so few characters in this movie. This is a very big character piece. There's only like, was there 6 characters? 7 characters if you count the guy who's at the bar, which is the bar / restaurant, who then comes back at the very, very end. But even the ending is really well done. I'm like, it puts you on the edge of your seat. I was not really at the edge of my seat watching the original, not to be honest with you. I had gotten dulled so earlier in the film that by the time it got there, I just kept saying, these characters are fucking stupid. And why are they acting this way? But with this film, the moment you see the Louise character getting told by her daughter Agnes what's really going on, and you see that look of terror on her face, you are at a ticking time bomb, wondering when the hell are they going to be able to escape Patty and Clara. And it's amazing because you think they're going to try and play it off as like, just hide your feelings, just hide your feelings. But Agnes can't do it because she's so young and she's a child. And they just use that. Like, you in any other movie, you'd say you have to hide it. You have to hide it in Agnes. You can't show that you know you can. And you think, well, that doesn't seem realistic for a child, but okay, we'll go with it. But here, it's like it's a plot device. You're not gonna play it off. We know you can't play it off. You're scared. You're terrified. Use it. We're gonna use that as our excuse. I love that aspect of this movie. Loved it.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, we get to the fact that part of the theme with Patty trying to make Louise and Ben be truthful, and Louise manipulates Patty by telling him about her affair and stuff like that. And I just thought that was brilliantly handled, and it's a character moment that's in the film that kind of all seems what'd you call it, authentic. Like it's something that's been building up, and when she reveals it, it doesn't seem like a contrivance. It seems like that she is a very smart mother, a woman, She's very progressive, and she knows that her husband is not there, and they're having these problems. But she also realizes that in order for her to save her family and get the fuck out of there, she has to reveal a little bit of truth of her own, and it works out brilliantly. I think it works out brilliantly.
Oh yeah, Mackenzie Davis does such. I mean, other than James McAvoy, I think Mackenzie Davis is like the next person who is really carrying the movie through all of it and stuff. And again, she does it. Like you said earlier, I like Mackenzie Davis. She's been good in everything I've seen her, in my opinion. And yeah, she does such a great job of being the no nonsense, like get shit done, like when it needs to get done.
Yeah, yeah. She's another actress. I just believe just hasn't been given that role, that true breakout role that she needs yet. I'm hoping she gets it because I think she's a really great actress who just gets overlooked despite her amazing talents. So, but this film, I believe, did well. So maybe that will.
Oh yeah, this movie did very well. It did 78 million over a $15 million budget. So,
okay. Yeah, really well. Okay.
I mean, it's a Blumhouse. Like we haven't mentioned this yet. It was produced by Blumhouse. Of course, it was going to do well financially and stuff.
Oh, I don't think I recalled that. Oh, yeah. It was probably during that time when Jason Blum was producing or putting out like 15 films in a year, and I just kind of overlooked it. Although now that I think about it being a remake, I'm not actually surprised now.
Oh yeah, no, you got Blumhouse attached to this. It was gonna make a lot of money. You had no issue there. Now, speaking of like with this director and stuff, James Watkins and stuff, I hadn't seen his other movies. I know he did The Woman in Black, which I've heard that's good. I've not seen it.
You should see that one. Really good movie. Really good.
Yeah, and I'm excited. He's doing the Clayface movie.
Yep.
Later this year and stuff. So he's definitely staying in more of the gothic horror type for the most part. I know he did the Bastille Day, which I didn't see that and stuff. I know it's a little more action, but he's mostly a horror director and stuff. So like so far he's had a decent track record right now.
I've seen all of his movies. I've seen all of his movies now. I've not seen some of his show stuff. I don't always catch up with the show stuff, but I've seen all of his movies. I generally think The Woman in Black and Speak No Evil is his most accomplished films. If you like the look and feeling of this movie, you will definitely enjoy The Woman in Black. We'll not say the same thing for The Woman in Black 2, the sequel, but The Woman in Black is a truly, really good, haunting, gothic horror film with Harry Potter. Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, with Daniel Radcliffe.
I couldn't think of his name for a second there. I think that was one of his first movies, not being associated with Harry Potter. Mr. Radcliffe, who can do no wrong now. That dude can do no wrong. He's done so much great work. I overlooked the bad stuff, if he's done any bad stuff now.
Even if the stuff that he's done that's like quotation bad, he himself is good in it.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. I've seen a lot of his shit now, so yeah. But yeah, I until I watched this yesterday. I had to look him back up because I wasn't sure about him either. And then I said, "Oh, he's doing Clayface." Oh, I just saw a trailer for that. That looks pretty fucking good. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm like he's doing good so far. We'll have to do an episode on Clayface when that comes out later this year. But finishing off again, my thoughts with this movie. Again, it is, if you have a choice between seeing this or the original, if you can only see one, definitely watch this. This is one of the few times based on everyone's opinions, like Kevin's, who have seen both. Almost everyone says they enjoy the American remake over the original. And that's really tough because that's not a common opinion with these American remakes.
No, it's not. I wish this happened more often, but it does not. um, and I think a big thing is that, in general, I think American audiences who enjoy the original version of a good horror film tend to think that they've watered down the American remake. That's not always the case. I think sometimes it's because some of the elements in the original film that the filmmakers don't think will translate well to audiences. And then of course the ideal of those more risque plot points, like in Inside or Martyrs, which were really hard to replicate it when the American remakes. It's hard to make justify is a good word, justify the bleakness of those type of movies. And the original Speak No Evil is bleak. It's bleak, and American audiences don't tend to want to see bleak movies, and then they don't talk about bleak movies. Me and you discussed the movie The Long Walk earlier in the year, which is both one of our favorite movies of 2025, but it's fucking bleak and it's hard. And it did not do well at the box office because it's so fucking bleak, and those are hard to make money and be profitable. So it sometimes you may see it, but even the best films like The Long Walk or The Mist, they're so bleak that audiences watch them and they just don't recommend them, or bad word of mouth because they're so bleak. This film right here, the original had a bleak ending. This version has a satisfying ending, and it's a dark ending. Don't get me wrong. Watching Ant pulverize Patty, his abuser, and him screaming out at the top of his lungs of that ultimate release for a character who can speak no evil because his tongue's been chopped out. That's some bleak shit.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's screwed for the rest of his life. He doesn't have a tongue, and now he's traumatized. And
Yeah,
he can't even talk to anyone about it. He's got to learn sign language.
but the other thing is he can't write straight either, because
Yeah.
he tries to write a note to Agnes, and Agnes can't understand what he wrote, and it's so hard. It's tragic. That's
So
why I think of Ant now as the main character, because it's so tragic. That character's so tragic.
So, fun story, the note is actually in Danish. As kind of a wink, wink, nod, nod to the original. The note is in Danish and specifically says, "Do not trust them. You are not safe here."
Now, knowing that's hilarious, but it still fits because Agnes has no clue. So the funny thing now would be, if Ant even understands what Agnes is saying half the time.
Oh no, that's a great that honestly is a great thing thinking about, because it's like, because he cuts their tongue out. Yeah, you don't know you don't know where Ant is from. You have no idea, because again, you see that they hit all these different families. There's no saying that these characters aren't American. So yeah, it's totally like, that's another way to watch the movie with Ant, knowing that Ant may not even speak English at all and stuff, and that adds to another level of why he seems so, quotation, dumb
Yeah.
for a while. It's like, he's not dumb, it's just he can't speak English. And you don't know that because you can't hear him speak. You don't know what language he speaks. But
Yeah.
apparently he can write a letter in Danish.
That's funny because now that's going to be added to my my oeuvre when I rewatch the movie, and I will rewatch this movie. I like this movie. This movie will be part of my list of movies because I really do enjoy this. Yeah. But that just adds something that I didn't think about or know. Like, does Ant actually speak and understand English? That's a good fucking question. And that's why, Patty has to direct him, make these big, bold movements to get him to do what he wants him to do, because he may not understand the fucking language. Dude, I didn't even think about that. Next time I rewatch this, I'm gonna be watching it for that alone. But I have cemented my ideal that Ant is the main character in this movie. So, are there any other thoughts that you have on this movie?
Nope.
It's so hard with movies that both of us agree on that we both generally really fucking enjoy. I am saddened that it took me so long to get around to this movie for multiple reasons. One, you kept talking it up for me, and I just kept putting it off. And two, I was waiting to see the original before seeing this. I wish I didn't have that mentality. I wish I could just go and enjoy a movie that, even though it's a remake, I don't have to go and watch the remake first. Because I really wish I had seen this movie at the theater. This movie I think would have been highly enjoyable and worth seeing it on the big screens.
Oh yeah, no, I'm glad you got to see it. And again, if any of our listeners have not watched it, please watch it.
Yes, most definitely. This is a highlight of 2024. You should definitely make time to see this film. So, with that, I want to thank you, Philip, for joining us in this conversation about Speak No Evil for 2024. For everyone listening, what we love to do is we love to rate the movies between 1 and 5. 1 being poor, 5 being amazing. But what we love to do is we like to take an object, quote, or saying out of the film to attribute to our rating. What is your rating, and what quote, item, or saying are you going to attribute to your rating, Mr. Philip?
I give Speak No Evil 4.5 emotional support bunny out of 5.
Nice. You know what? I'm going to go with you on that one. 4.5, except for severed tongues, for me. It's too iconic. The funny thing about this movie is I probably saw the trailer for this a billion times because James McAvoy's in the fucking trailer and he's just so cool. But that image of the ant using his fingers to cut off his tongue was just so fucking iconic. I just had to do it for my rating because I'm like, and you can't see this, but I'm kind of showing Philip the cutting my tongue off with my fingers type of thing, everyone. But
which again, if you could obviously if you listen to this, you've already been spoiled and stuff. But like again, if you walked in not knowing about the whole tongue cutting thing, it's a great little moment and stuff with the way it was played off.
It still is. I wish they had not put it in the trailer though, so it's so prominent in the trailer. I think that would have been a really good non-trailer thing, but I think it works still anyways. But it would have been really cool to have gone in and not have seen it already in the trailer a billion times. But hey, regardless, it's still a great movie. It won't ruin it knowing that scene's in there. There's still plenty of great elements in this film to be had when you're watching it, hopefully multiple times. So, with that, we do hope that you have enjoyed this conversation with us. Please make sure to check out previous episodes on our podcast. We've done a plethora of films from many different subgenres and many different decades. So you're going to have fun looking at our catalog of films. Make sure to check them out. And what we do is we have regular episodes on Wednesdays at 8 a.m. And then we also have special theme episodes Mondays during the month when we have special themed months. So with that, please make sure to check out or to like, follow, share, subscribe. Do that thing you do with your favorite podcasts and your favorite podcast apps, Spotify or YouTube. And also check out our sister podcast, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, which is every first and third Friday of the month. Also released at 8 a.m. in the morning. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment, we wish you a pleasant day. And that's all, folks. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production. Written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Executive producer, Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.